cried last night. This is the face after I've had a day to process the fact that you've had Victor Garber on your show, and you kicked him off! The episode starts with Nova and Barry combining their attacks to finally take down Red Tornado at the last second. As the portal to Earth 1 opens, it vaporizes most of the Nazis around our heroes. But Barry gets there. It's unsafe to transport Stein because of the number of bullets he's taken. How they hope that Gideon can save him on the Wave Rider, but again, he's too unstable to move. Jackson figures that, well, if they're combined to the Firestorm, that will help it, and he can move his body that way. So they do that. They go through the portal, and they in time to join the fight for Star Labs. Now in the fight, one point Oliver threatens Nazi Girl, but all the time she's telling Green Nazi to continue fighting, and Felicity stands up for Supergirl, and in an awesome scene. So those things play out great, and then they fight off the Nazis. Escape in their way. The Nazis, though, escape in their Wave Riders, but Star Labs is saved, and as is Supergirl. However, she has to restore her powers, so that's going to take time. Plus, they need to locate the Nazi Wave Rider, but they figure it's not leaving the city. Oliver pointing. Because they realize that they have a whole army of troops that they can threaten Central City with, so they'll probably leverage that. And if that doesn't work, well, it turns out Nazi Girl only has about an hour left to live unless she gets the transplant from Supergirl. And when she goes, she'll be so overloaded on the yellow sun radiation that, well, let's just say she's going to go out with a really, really big bang. I mean, a bang the city will never forget, mostly because they won't be remembering anything after that. Also, once they're separated, Gideon can't do anything to help Stein, and it turns out that since they're linked now, and they linked up while he was injured, Jax is now dying along with Stein. And in a scene that is just full of emotion and just played perfectly, Stein asks Jax to give him the formula for splitting them up. Jax, of course, doesn't want to do it at all. But Stein points out that he is dying no matter what, so he's not about to take Jax with him. And that if Jax really means that he's like a father to him, then he won't let himself die just because Stein is dying. Everything about this takes up the first like 20 minutes of the show, and all I can say is everything about this is played perfectly. I don't like that they killed off Stein. I don't like that Victor Garber left the show, but if he has to go, This is the way you do it. Again, I'm forced to point to the DC movies, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I can't understand how there is such a disconnect between television and the movies, but there is. And this is why, despite their ups and downs, I stick with the TV shows, but I've been having trouble with the films. And that is, I felt nothing when Superman died at the end of Batman vs. Superman. There just wasn't any time to reflect on it. Here, everyone is given a chance to reflect on it, and it's from a character we've grown to love, and it's for a very good reason. There is no other way out of this situation. You can't come up with any plot contrivances that would save him or anything. Fact is that no matter how advanced your medicine, when you've been riddled with like 300 bullets in the back, you are not, there isn't anything that can be done to save you. So, really what Jax was holding on to was false hope, and we see that he was willing, and because we like him and he was willing to go down with the professor, we care so much more about this, and we see the impact it has. It has a knock-on impact to everyone there, and it brings all the heroes there. And yes, I check, everyone is there. Everyone from all the shows is there now on the Wave Rider, getting ready for their final confrontation. So, and they go, oh, and it just has a huge impact. Everyone except Diggle, who I've really been missing in this one. But of course, if you know what's going on with him in Arrow, then you know why he wouldn't be there. However, and there's a scene where Jax has to break the news to Stein's family, and it really is heartbreaking, and yeah, it really is. Yeah, I was watching it with somebody, we were both in tears, so it was just, it's a really well handled scene. It doesn't go over the top, it just is what it is, and it helps elevate this whole thing. And that's the thing, everything in this story has some sort of impact, and we're going to get more of that by the end. But everyone's morning is interrupted by the Nazi Wave Rider, as Oliver predicted, being above Central City, and Green Nazi delivering an ultimatum, telling them that they either surrender Supergirl or he's going to destroy everything. Now, what he's unfortunate enough not to know is that they already had this ultimatum last year. Remember the Dominators giving out this ultimatum when it came to Barry? And Barry was willing to hand himself over. So, the answer the heroes give this time is identical, and I like that because it keeps things in character. It's, we're gonna destroy you, and what's more, we don't trust you to keep your word. You're frickin' Nazis! I mean, really, why would you trust them to keep their word? They'll just leave with Supergirl. Once they have Nazi Girl restored, what reason do they have for leaving? Huh? They have a time machine. So, yeah. So, Nazis with a time machine and with a Supergirl are just something they can't risk. The heroes go in and they fight. Meanwhile, the Nazis are gunning down people left and right. And that's what I meant when I said in these two episodes they're going full Nazi. They just don't care. Someone's in their way, they're crushing them. So we have all our heroes in the universe, and they each get at least a moment fighting Nazis. We have Green Arrow fighting Green Nazi. That's awesome. We have Supergirl versus Nazi Girl in the sky, and we have Wave Rider versus Nazi Rider. Yeah, fly, yeah, fight, duking it out, duking it out. Super. They managed to defeat the Nazi rider. Barry shows how much he's grown since season one, since it's a even fight where Barry even has the upper hand on Reverse Flash. But of course, because you can never be sure what time period Reverse Flash comes from and what implications it's going to have. Of course, Barry has to let him go because, well, who wants another Flashpoint? No one. And Nazi girl is about to die when Supergirl takes her up into space just in the nick of time so that her explosion doesn't flatten Central City. Green Nazi flies into a rage, but Green Arrow has had enough of his garbage, so he just shoots him in the heart with an arrow. There, end of Green Nazi. And this is where other things come into play too. There is a hint of realism here. Captain Cold and Nova are going to return to their world to fight the Nazis. It's shown that even without Supergirl and without Captain Nazi, because this government has existed for almost 70 years, you just getting rid of two people doesn't automatically end it. This isn't a Star Wars thing where it just automatically collapses just because the leaders are gone. No, there's going to be a long, hard fight on Earth X for its government. So that's insane. Oh, I forgot. There is one scene earlier in the episode where Mick unfortunately finds out that, much to his disgust, he died on Earth X. He died running into a fire. And as Captain Cold puts it, he wouldn't stop going in there until every last one of those cops was out and safe. Yeah, a fire at a police precinct. So, as Mick puts it, I died saving pigs. Yeah. But anyway, for reasons that I don't understand and aren't explained, Captain Cold decides to remain on Earth 1. I have no idea if he's going to become a part of this anymore or not. I thought Wentworth Miller was leaving this role behind, but I don't know. It would seem like then the perfect send-off would be to have him fighting, not just say that he's fighting Nazis on Earth X, but I don't know, and I don't exactly understand what his character motivations are for staying on Earth 1. However, that's small potatoes compared to what comes next, which is Stein's funeral, and then Barry and Iris gets genre savvy again and says that they're just going to find a justice of the peace to do or somebody else to do her and Barry's ceremony after everyone else departs except Oliver and Felicity. Because, she figures, if they do something big again, they're just asking for another supervillain to wreck it. Which again, like I said in a previous episode, thank you. Yes, we're thinking on the same wavelength here, Iris. And throughout the story, Iris has been pretty good compared to how they have been writing her this season. So, yeah, I have no problem with this. They come up with the idea of Oliver marrying them since he's mayor, but he points out that they have to be within the confines of Star City. However, Barry could flash them all there in just a few seconds, so not sure why that's an issue. However, he does mention that he knows somebody who is ordained to preside over legal marriages. And in something that I saw, and and it's something that I have to admit I saw coming. We finally get Diggle involved in the story because Barry flashes Diggle to them so that he can pronounce the man and wife, and him and Iris man and wife. Which, without Joe there to wreck it, I'm fine with this. Without Joe there to say something stupid that'll wreck it, it's just good. And then the real surprise come for me because I was sure that they were going to drag this out even longer, but no. We're done with these stupid subplots. We're done with all of this on Arrow. This is why I'm so excited. We're done with this. I'm not necessarily a shipper. I'm just saying that just to be done with this whole drawn out part of the story, when I called how it was going to turn out way back in season 1, just to be done with this and just have Felicity say that she will marry Oliver, and so Diggle performs a double wedding, and yeah, Felicity and Oliver are now married too. So the ending is bittersweet, and we get and we bid a fond farewell to our heroes until next week, which will be the winter final for all these shows, which I'm not ready for that yet now. So, this episode is not only a really good conclusion to Crisis on Earth X, it's also a really good conclusion to Stein's character arc, and it's an important and really good episode of Legends of Tomorrow. So, despite the fact that I was sure, the only thing I would complain about is that I would say that I was expecting time travel to be involved when you have two Rave Riders, or if I was doing anything, I would have had, of course not with Nazi Arrow on, Green Nazi on it, but with some other Nazis, I would have had the Nazi Wave Rider escape, so it could be a recurring menace on Legends of Tomorrow. Those are the things that I would have changed, and I would have explained Captain Cold's character motivations for staying on Earth 1. However, taken as a whole on this, I felt like those were small potatoes, and the good far outweighed the bad. I'm giving this episode 8.5 out of 10.